They always warned people about the chapel on the hill. They said anyone who entered it alone never walked back out the same. Nobody in town believed the stories anymore. At least, not until the night a boy named Eli decided to prove everyone wrong. His friends called it a dare. Eli called it courage. But what opened inside that chapel wasn't meant for the living. This is the recording left behind. The one they found outside the door, cracked, flickering, and unfinished. A final message that whispered only 3 words. Take me to hell. Eli's shoes scraped the stone steps as he climbed toward the chapel, his phone trembling in his hand. Behind him, his friends stayed at the bottom of the hill, laughing to hide how nervous they truly were. The chapel looked lifeless. No candles, no light, just a forgotten building decaying under the weight of moonlight. Eli swallowed hard. This is stupid, he whispered. But he didn't turn around. Wind rushed behind him, stirring dead leaves across the ground. His friends called out to him, but their voices already sounded far away. The dare was simple. Step inside, record proof, walk back down. But the fear rising in his throat told him something else waited inside. Something old, something awake. He reached for the door and froze. The wooden slab creaked open by itself, breathing out a wave of cold mist that curled around his legs. It felt wrong, like the building itself had exhaled. Eli stepped back instinctively, his heartbeat drumming in his ears. Hello? The word left him before he could stop it. No answer, only the low groan of the hinges settling back into place. Moonlight framed the doorway behind him, but inside, there was only darkness. A darkness that didn't feel empty. It felt crowded. Eli lifted his phone and stepped inside. The air smelled of wet stone and something metallic. His flashlight beam crossed the altar, cracked down the center like something had burst through it. Candles sat melted into their stands, but the wax looked fresh, still warm, still dripping. Pages from a Bible were scattered across the wooden floor, not torn by hands, torn by force. Eli shivered. What happened here? He stepped forward, the floorboards groaning under his weight. The shadows in the corners stretched longer than they should have, as if moving, as if listening. His light slid past the broken altar and froze on something kneeling behind it. A figure, human-shaped, but not human at all. Its limbs were too long, bent at angles that didn't make sense. Its head bowed low, hair hanging forward like wet strands of ink. Eli's breath caught in his chest. Sir, are you hurt? The figure didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't react. But when Eli blinked, its head tilted just slightly, just enough to show it knew he was there. The flashlight flickered violently. Eli stepped back, heart pounding so hard he could feel it in his teeth. He wanted to run, but the door behind him slammed shut with a thunderous echo. The figure's shadow stretched across the floor toward him, as if reaching. Eli pressed himself against the wall, gripping his phone so tightly it hurt. Then, a whisper, soft, uncertain, right beside his ear. Eli! He spun around. Nobody. The whisper came again, but this time from the ceiling. Eli! Then from the broken windows. Then from the walls. Then from beneath the floorboards. Eli! 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 He stared wide-eyed as faint letters shimmered into the air in front of him, swirling, rearranging, forming his name. His breath fogged in the cold air, even though the chapel wasn't cold. Something invisible was breathing on him, something that already knew him. His flashlight dimmed. On the altar, A torn Bible flipped open on its own. Letters crawled across the page like insects, reshaping themselves. Eli stepped closer, horrified. The words now read, "Take me." A sudden pressure built behind his eyes. Sharp, throbbing, blinding. Blood dripped from his nose. He stumbled back, gasping. The candles around the altar flared upward, stretching several feet high, their flames bending toward him as if pulled by his fear. The air vibrated, not like sound, but like something enormous was moving beneath the floor. Something waking up. A crack tore through the chapel floor, then another. The ground shuddered violently as glowing fissures split across the stone tiles, revealing a burning void beneath. Eli screamed as the entire building lurched downward, sinking as if giant hands had grabbed it from below. Pews lifted into the air, weightless, twisting and floating like debris caught in a storm. The walls groaned. The ceiling bowed. Eli stumbled backward, barely catching himself at the edge of a widening chasm. The chapel wasn't falling. It was being dragged. Dragged somewhere it was never meant to go. The floor beneath him gave way, and Eli fell. He landed hard on stone. A narrow corridor stretched before him, carved out of darkness. Faces, human faces, were pressed into the walls, their eyes glowing faint white. They were breathing. He could hear it. Some stared at him. Others moved their lips silently, forming words he couldn't bear to understand. Mist drifted across the ground, swirling around his ankles. Eli lifted his shaking flashlight, whispering, "Please, let me wake up." But the corridor didn't end. It only narrowed, and the faces began to follow him. At the end of the passage, something waited. A tall, thin creature emerged from the darkness, its limbs bending with too many joints, its skin stretched tight over bones that weren't shaped right. Its eyes burned bright red. Eli stumbled back, choking on his own breath. The creature leaned forward. "You came looking for truth?" it whispered. Its voice sounded like a dozen voices scraping together. "So let us make a trade." Eli shook his head violently. No, stay away." "Give me one memory," the creature hissed. "Just one, and you may leave." Eli couldn't speak. The demon smiled, a wide, unnatural smile. "You refuse," it said. "Good. That makes this easier." Eli ran. He sprinted through a doorway ahead, bursting into his bedroom. Warm yellow light wrapped around him, his bed, his desk, his posters, all perfect, all familiar. "Mom?" His voice cracked. He stepped into the hallway. His mother stood in the kitchen, stirring a pot. Relief washed over him, until he looked at the floor. Her shadow wasn't hers. It had horns, claws, a tail. He blinked. The shadow lifted its head, even though his mother did not. "This isn't real," he whispered. And the shadow smiled. The lights flickered, and the world tore apart. Eli was yanked backward into the warped chapel again, stumbling as the door behind him slammed shut. Red light bled through the walls. The demon stood inches behind him now. He didn't hear footsteps. It simply appeared, as if it had always been there. "You cannot leave," it murmured. You opened the door. And now, your world is mine. Long shadows curled across the floor, twisting around Eli's feet like hands made of darkness. He screamed, but the chapel swallowed the sound. The floor collapsed beneath him. Eli clawed at the air as he was dragged into a void so black it felt alive. His phone slipped from his fingers, tumbling through the darkness as its screen cracked against unseen force. His hand reached upward, desperate, shaking, trying to grasp anything, but the void pulled harder. Dozens of glowing eyes opened around him, watching, judging, choosing. A whisper crawled through the darkness. "Take me to hell." But the voice was Eli's. The recording ends there. They never found him, only the phone. Still warm, still flickering, still repeating those same final words. "Don't follow me. Don't say my name." Fade to black.